If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. According to Fox News, even in an era of $500 hotel rooms and $18 cocktails, the $442 that a Texas family paid for a ride in a New York City pedicab has become notorious. Dictionary.com defines a pedicab as a small pedal-operated vehicle serving as a taxi in some countries. Pedicabs are becoming more and more popular in New York City, Chicago, and many crowded cities. According to Fox News, pedicabs were introduced to New York City in the 1990s as a cheaper alternative to the horse-drawn carriages that operate some of the same routes around Central Park and Midtown Manhattan. They have become increasingly popular ever since. There are currently 1,335 licensed pedicab drivers. Doesn't a pedicab ride around Central Park sound appealing to you? Today I will be informing you on how costly and ridiculous pedicabs actually are and how the driver tricks you into getting on one of them. Pedicabs are taking advantage of unsuspecting visitors. With a language barrier, it could be difficult for the driver to communicate how much the ride would cost. Because the prices aren't clearly stated or informed, and this can cause people to pay a ridiculous amount of money for an uncomfortable and unsafe ride around a pedicab. Recently, a Texan family was charged $442 for the pedicab ride. These pedicabs are supposed to fit 3 passengers, but this pedicab driver allowed a family of 4 to squeeze in the back of his bike. Fox News stated that the driver told the Texas couple after their 14-block ride that there was a $100 fare for each additional passenger, even though the daughters who sat on their parents' laps were 7 and 9. It was technically illegal to have 4 passengers, but such a trip for 3 people ordinarily costs $80 to $100. After this whole scandal, some drivers said they would support changing the current system and prices, but not all of them wanted to do that. The vice president of the New York City Pedicab Owners Association stated that he does not support the per-minute system, but would prefer a requirement that prices be quoted before the ride starts. Now that you know the tourists are being taken advantage of these pedicabs, I'm going to tell you about my experience with a pedicab in New York City. About 3 weeks ago, I was visiting New York City for the first time with my friend. Flagging down a cab was nearly impossible, but pedicabs were simply everywhere you looked. We didn't want to walk to Penn Station from Central Park, so we decided to take a ride on a pedicab. The driver said he would only charge us $4 plus tip. We felt that was kind of odd, but we were going to be late for our train. As we approached Penn Station, we handed the driver a $10 bill and told him to keep the change. He looked at us confused and said it was $120. We refused to pay. The driver called the New York Police Department and a report was filed against my friend and I. After dealing with cops, we only had to pay $20 because the prices weren't clearly stated, and we couldn't comprehend what the driver was saying. Apparently, it was $4 per block. We felt foolish as if we were taken advantage of. Even though it was my first time in the city, I should have known that a pedicab would cost much more than $4. Now that I'm aware of these pedicabs, I will not be taking them around New York City ever again. After informing you on these stories and facts, I hope you know to be aware of these pedicab drivers when visiting New York City or any other popular city. Before getting on a service-based product, make sure you are informed of the prices so you don't end up paying much more than you should. Even though pedicab drivers are trying to make a living, it isn't right to trick innocent tourists and charge more money than they should.